Oh my gosh, I just went to go look what time it was, and it was 1:30, but I was thinking it was saying 12:30, and I got up like at 12:30. I was like, how could that be? I've been doing all this stuff. The time is so weird. Everything is so weird right now. Sleeping is so weird. Not sleeping is so weird. Whatever's happening to my body is so weird. I couldn't sleep at all. The it's having that same thing with like this, it's like electrical in my body, and I don't know how else to explain it. And but it's weird. It's like yeah, okay, so if you're sitting somehow or laying somehow and you keep your hand or your foot or something in a position too long, and then it starts doing a weird feeling, so then you stop and you turn and you change positions, and sometimes you have to shake your foot or something. It feels like it's like going to sleep, all the little tingles and whatnot. But so it's kind of like that, only it won't stop. It doesn't stop. And you can't, so this one starts doing it, so you try and shake it off, and then it'll keep doing it, it doesn't shake off. So then you turn to the other side, then it starts doing it. This one starts getting to be less, but now this one's doing it. So it's just this, oh my God, it's the weirdest thing. God. And I already drank 3 cups of tea. And with the first one, I'm so itchy too. I'm like having so many things. The first one I put bentonite clay in it because I was like, it's got to be toxins. I don't, I don't know what could be causing it other than some poison has triggered some inflammation process inside of me, or it has triggered the nerves to overfire, or like a combination of both. But I'm not having, well, my fingers have been, I mean, they've been swollen for weeks or months or something now. I don't remember how long, but they've been swollen for a long time. And, but when before I went on the trip, because time is jacked, man, and trying to figure out what happens in the time, I was like, fuck, I have no idea. I don't know if I dreamt that. I don't know if that really happened. I don't know who I was talking to when that happened. I don't know. It's just like, what the hell? It's just like I'm spinning. That's why I was like, fuck, I have no idea. My conversations when I was gone, it's like I can remember some things, but it was like a whirlwind, man. And but before I went, and I was talking about the swelling and stuff, and I think I did bentonite clay. Man, my neck is stiff, it's hurting. That I think I did bentonite clay then too, but my knees were even like popping and stuff when I was walking down the stairs, and it was like I couldn't bend them all the way. They were felt so swollen, which trips me out. The thing that trips me out about all this, this is my Tiger Balm. Man, I had no idea my neck was so stiff. I've been sitting here. Oh, everything's weird. But the, what was I going to say? But anyways, it seemed like the bentonite clay helped then, which to me, again, is toxins. But the thing is when they've set that autoimmune thing in your body, they've triggered it to overreact. And they've done it, I think, basically to everybody right now. That, I was thinking, when I talked to my sister-in-law, I found out more stuff while I was there and stuff. But anyways, when he first got diagnosed, and they blamed it on his job, that his job, because he worked around X-ray machines and stuff, because he was a person, he worked for Fuji, because of course corporations started owning everything. But even the hospitals, it's all scam. But anyways, so because he worked at hospitals first, but he's is this high-tech job of fixing those like MRI machines and all that stuff. And so he worked for the hospitals, but then I don't know. whatever in the laundry system, and they decided the hospitals weren't going to pay for that. It was going to be outsourced, and a corporation would own it. Fuji, of all things, that always tripped me out. Fuji? You work for Fuji? the film place? And yeah, that's what he worked for, Fuji, for, I don't know, fuck, I think like 30 years or something. I don't remember when he started, but he worked there a long time. I don't know how close he was to retirement, but they gave him early retirement now. And there was, when quarantine was first happening, he was having, I remember some of his, because he was talking about his friends at work died, and I swear to God, they died from the same thing. Now, I don't know. And there's so many things you ask him and he can't remember. But I was like, well, you know, they're all got the same kind of bug. And then, and it's all going towards their brain. And so, but the doctor said that what he had would have been there for like 10 years. So it was there for 10 years growing, which, you know, I don't know, because the stuff they tell us isn't accurate to what it is. And, yeah, something environmental for sure is where you get some of these bugs and whatnot. But anyways, what I was going to say, I was that thing. I think that a lot of the big C or big P, however you want to look at it, a lot of that was already in people. It was already like slowly growing. And then they did an accelerator. I think that's what, and that is what so many people all of a sudden. But I think that, you know, I mean, we haven't been detoxing or anything. I mean, it just, it's so crazy now because like, you know, people will be talking to me. Oh yeah, and another thing too on that, the people being cured and using the black seed oil. One of the things is that they do the carnivore diet. They get off of the all this other stuff that feeds it, and then they go on this other. But I am still gonna say again, I believe the draw to meat is the body craving iron, and so it looks towards something bloody. Like, it's just so weird because the vampires that run this place, they look at us like, that looks good, tasty. So anyways, the bloody content of the meat would carry the iron, which your body is low and functioning, is looking around like, get some iron. But people don't know how to get it now. And then go to the meat. I swear to God, if people were high on iron, I don't think they would be craving meat. Like, I have no craving whatsoever of any, but I haven't eaten it in so long. But there was still, when I was younger, the reason I even ate any chicken, because all meat grossed me out. The texture, the texture just grosses me the fuck out. But and I would cook it for my kids and stuff all the time. But when we would have chicken, I would always think, well, I better eat a few bites of chicken. And sometimes it would just be gross. It would just gag me out. And then sometimes I would think like, oh, you know, I cooked it good. It tasted good. And but I felt like my body would crave it. Like I felt like, and at the time, you know, they're telling us, well, that's the protein and all that stuff. I didn't never buy into their feeding schedule in their pyramid thing. When I heard that one girl do that whole video of explaining like when they started it and how they kept accelerating it and moving it and the things that they were telling us and stuff. And then you look around at all the people, yeah, they're programmed to gain weight. They're fed information that isn't accurate to how to maintain their body. And these people are doing it on purpose. It's not like, I mean, they can see, obviously, if we're telling people to eat this much and everybody's getting too fat, then obviously we are telling them wrong. I mean, it doesn't take a fucking brain surgeon for some of this shit. That's why these doctors, it's like, what? You can't even do simple math? You're not touching me. So, yeah, everybody's got their own journey to figure that out. And, so anyways, I went off this other thing I was talking about. So, okay, let's see. I'll start the shenanigans with the, okay, so, let's see. The, the people, always the people. It's always in my mind when I'm staggered. Okay, so I'm just gonna go somewhere else now. Okay, so one of the things I'm seeing is like people are definitely losing it more, and like people's at the end of the rope. And one thing too is that tonight the moon is out here. I think I saw it when I was driving back from the airport. It was out, and then it was out the next night, and then tonight. So it's been out ever since I got back. When I was in Texas, I went outside to look for it, and I was thinking one of the nights I couldn't find it, but I found it the other one. So I was like, okay, so the moon's out over here, but then as soon as I got back, it was out here, and so then I was like, huh. So I wonder if because it could be like several things. Like for one thing, like the moon goes out, like all this bullshit of things going over the top of us, bullshit. I've seen it's going out, especially now as our atmosphere is like crushing down. Our our reality is like going down. It's like the firmament is like I don't know. I see it as this like movement of like I don't look at it so three-dimensional, like, oh, it's crushing in on us. I look at it more, but when you look out in the three-dimensional, I definitely see the sky going like this, like it's going out. And so it's like going down and out like that. And so the sun and the moon, because I thought it used to go over us, but then it was when I started awakening, I started seeing right away it was going around us. And so, so over where I was, it would start like here, it would go out around like that and end up over here. So it didn't go all the way around, it would go. And so I don't know if it's going over this thing like this, but it's not going up. It's going over real low. And then over here, I started seeing the same thing. So it would come up over here, and then it will go around, and then it will set over here, but it's always down and around. And so if the moon, so it follows this pattern too. You can go out and see it, and it's down low. It's not hard to see when it's out. But then it did some weird stuff like did it start over there last night and come this way? Or did it start over there, go across, and then go back? Like, what's going on? Because it will be at the wrong place at the wrong time. You couldn't set your clock by it. So it's just seems all rogue. Like, it's going to come over here, it's going to be over there, it's going to be here. It's just like weird, but it's on this side. And then sometimes when I go out and I see there's just no moon, there's no moon. And I was thinking, well, it could be over on the other side of the house, but that would still be like totally off because it's not following where it should be. So if it's over there somewhere and I just can't see it, I mean, that's possible too. Or if it is just sometimes they don't turn it on or something, and then people just think, oh, it's cloudy or something. We just don't think too much about it. Or there's just such a variety of things that can be going on. It's like, fuck, man, I don't know. But yeah, it was just like seeing it there and then getting back and seeing it here. Because I was curious, like, if they weren't going to have... Anyways, I'm just trying to put things together. That's just what my mind does. Okay, so back on these things I was saying too. So, because I just saw this thing with Elon. Okay, because there's so much stuff talking about with him, and I don't know. It has some things, the way they get worded and stuff, and I don't know. It seems absurd to me, but so they found a company in Florida that was using all illegals to do their work, so they weren't paying them shit. It's like this is how they make our clothes, you guys. Like this is the bullshit, that they do. You bet your ass this motherfucker is getting rich. That was the same thing as like when there was oh, it did kind of run him out. Because back when I talked about the maids and stuff, back in the day, it was kind of like the society was kind of like uh, the way uh, men went to work and women stayed home, and not all the moms were going to work when I was a kid. That started later, it started being more like when people got divorced or something, then the women started working, but women stayed home. And so, but they had things to do, I guess. And so a lot of them had cleaning ladies or maids. They were called maids, and they were just cleaning ladies. And most of the cleaning ladies, I mean, you didn't ever see a white one. I never saw a white one. And they were all black. And in Dallas, so they were downtown because that's where they had created the ghetto. So they create a place, the kind of a reality, so it makes it real difficult for the people to get out of it. It kind of keeps them trapped. And but also it's like, the people want to be around their own people, and thrive in their own kind of culture and their own kind of reality. But then the powers that be are so busy to try and make it miserable because they're trying to control these people. Because the people with melanin, the people with melanin are more in touch with the spirit, the real world kind of thing. And so in the world they're trying to create with clones and all their shit that they're doing, they don't want people to wake up. They want to keep them as their slaves. And then I guess apparently when they die, just tell them they got to hurry and go back and finish what they started. And so they got a little system going here, a system within a system. And but it's not like they're demons and stuff. This is their vibration. This is their realm. This is the stuff that they do here. And we come down to experience what they have to offer. And so, but we come down in vibration to go into these situations. And there isn't, but it's all on the up and up, And so the I had a bunch of things coming in my head while I was, so hold on. Okay, so the okay, there still feels like it's so many things. When it's a lot of stuff, it's like firing off. And so it's like firing off, but you have to use your mind to focus. And so it's hard to focus when it's a whole bunch of stuff firing off. So that's why I say that, because it's hard to find focus. So you got to pull your mind out of the firing and focus on what it is that you want to look at. And that pulls you into see what it is, which, is all this stuff is changing and stuff, and the more with the supernatural and stuff, just be really aware of what you pull your focus in on. But when you're trying to read messages and stuff in your mind, then, it can be difficult to focus sometimes on the one thing and pull towards it so you can see it more clearly. And so it's like you have to ignore that stuff, but then also you'll have conversations going inside your mind, like evaluating it. Sometimes I'll be like, "Oh, wow, I didn't know that. That's interesting." Like I'm sitting here talking, it's weird. It's so, anyways, as I say, it sometimes it can be like a lot, and so anyways, and then you got this stuff popping up and it's like distracting, and then it pulls you out of that focus, and then you start seeing that one. So anyways, but there's like a lot of stuff. So that's why sometimes it just seems like I'm all over the place, going from this to that over there. So anyways, when we get back to figuring what the fuck I'm talking about. So the people, so the people are, okay, so we come here to go through this expression of experience. It's not like hell. It's just a vibration. It's just a destination. But it's a vibration that allows certain things to happen. So it's entities that feed off of those energies reside in that space. And we are the opposing force to that energy. Like we are the light to the dark. But people, in this experience, they dim your light and stuff. But that to me is a part of the game, a part of the pulling yourself to the level of bringing yourself back to the light. But you got to go through all this stuff to bring yourself back to the light. And that's why it relates to a video game to me. And so, anyways, the, there was something I was talking about. If I could see. Okay, well, I'm just gonna go back to, okay, so back to Elon. Okay, so there was, okay, so there's this place, and, oh yeah, okay, okay, so the maids, okay, yeah, okay, if I remember now, okay, so the maids, they went to, so the maids, but the women who would come into the suburbs or out of downtown, so the powers that be create a ghetto and make it miserable, because they, just like they put all of the other toned people on reservations, then uh, they segregated everybody, and then they created a fear barrier where everybody became fearful of one another, and then they introduced a lot of drugs and alcohol and weapons, and so people could overreact in their fear and stuff. But see, it's all part of the game, and it's not as serious as what people think. Like, you're not going to hell. It's so programmed into people. And so all the things you do, you're in a game. But that doesn't mean you start, well, it's just a game, just start, taking people out, because that's when you are, it's a game that they're allowed to play too. You don't get to come in and take their stuff out. And so that is where you're not supposed to be interfering with somebody else's game. And so that would be your karmic entanglement and stuff. So that's what keeps you in the karmic trap, is you're interfering and stuff. And it can be in so many different ways. So, yeah, that's weird. So, okay, so anyways, the ladies that would come to make money. And I don't know, I mean, because I was young and stuff. And I know on the news there was a whole lot of stuff always trying to bash black communities, always danger, danger, and all the women are on welfare and all this stuff. And then I think they were really pushing hard on, the men were all criminals and women were all on welfare fraud and stuff. Would be on the news all the time, and which it just seemed like kind of extreme. And I know that there was, but poverty creates criminals. And they were creating poverty to create the criminals. And then they had to push the narrative to the other people because they had to keep the barrier of fear to keep people divided. Otherwise, people come together. And when we all come together, it's a beautiful thing. It's like the difference of like if you're just wearing a plain old white necklace or if you're wearing just a plain old brown one or a plain old black one or whatever. Or it's when you put it all together with all the colors and you create a pattern, it becomes beautiful. So anyways, but that's the only thing about our our tone has to do with a part of the experience we're here to experience. It has nothing to do with you or your soul or anything like that. It's just your avatar of where it is you're going to play out your stuff. So, but the thing I was thinking was because a lot of rich people decided, well, these ladies were asking too much money, or either they couldn't find them or whatever. But some people may not remember this, but some people may, because it was more like you started hearing about people getting busted because they were using illegal. So they had maids, and then they started having them live in and stuff like that, getting nannies, getting all this stuff. Like it went a whole nother level up. So then they were getting maids and stuff that were illegals. And so there was all these rich people who had live-in people, but they weren't legal because so they could pay them more, well, pay them less. So I mean, look at how they, were taking away these women's livelihood. And I don't think I have to explain it. I think you get what I'm saying because this just continues. This is what, when they switched to make it in China and stuff, well, they can get away with having slaves there or all the different places where they started making things. They could pay people way less and not give them a living wage or whatever. In some places, and I don't know about in China. China, it seems like whatever they were doing at Similar, maybe they outsourced some of this stuff because a lot of these places where they are enslaving them are the places where women are being treated bad already. Kids are being treated bad already. So a lot of it is more like, in India or someplace. Like, I can't even remember the different places I've heard of these slave places where they are making clothes. They're dilapidated buildings and stuff, and they don't let the people leave. The buildings have fallen on them and crushed them and stuff. They make these people to stay and work. They make kids work and all this stuff to make these clothes. And people get beaten and stuff. I mean, it's true slave labor. And so they take people who are already struggling. So see these ladies and stuff that were desperate to get out of their country and come over here. Then they just get used by these rich people. They're not paying them what they're worth. They're paying them less because they know that they've got a hold over them. And so a lot of people, there was businesses then. Who knows how it started? Probably some rich person. Hey, brilliant, genius. We can enslave this person. We'll bring them over, make them work for us, give them a place to live, and then just work their ass off and not pay them much. And so then, and then these guys are sitting around dinner parties and shit. And the other guys are like, oh, yeah, I've got problems with my employees. Well, you know what? I know some guys down there that they'll work for way cheaper, but, they don't have all the papers. I mean, you see how the laundry, the criminal enterprise just starts going, and then they all think, well, you have to do what you got to do and stuff like that. They moved all of the labor out of made in America so that they could do that, so that they could pay people less. And so then just got worse and worse and worse. But that's where, the shift is already going back towards made in, us all being more, uh, your products being more based from your own place and stuff. And then when there'll be like, I don't know, because there's going to be lots of where we use our own resources and stuff. But there's still going to be things to buy, sell, and trade. But things are all going to be like adapting in a new way. And so because the criminals are being taken down, and now it's going to be more based on, integrity and morals and scruples and all that stuff, not, what people do, have been doing for a long time, because this has been going on for a long time. So anyways, this business over here in Florida, that Elon apparently busted now, $6 billion. I don't know. I just heard. Oh, because that was Jon Stewart talking to some Yahoo Congress lady or some bullshit, probably some lady. I don't know who the hell she was. He was asking her, "So you guys just lost $6 billion? You just don't even know what done with it." Well, that makes me worry. So he's doing that, and she's just, of course, in the absurd world. Oh no, we didn't lose it. So whatever, in their absurd conversations to wake people up. There's all this money that's just all missing. And so in this case, whatever the case may be, this place is in the middle of this contract that's supposed to be done by the end of June or something. And they busted this construction business because all their employees were illegal. And so they shut it down. And so the people are all pissed. People are pissed off because it's for Florida State University and the kid housing. And so now they're not going to have it finished. We didn't vote for this. It's like, so criminals, we're good with it. We're all good with it. The universities are going to be shown to have so much more criminal shit. Like, this is just like the opener, like the appetizer. Like, and how many people didn't even pay attention to the bullshit at Harvard? So, like, there's so many things that people don't even pay any attention to. And it's just going to become more and more ridiculous. But, yeah, this whole thing with it's just so much bullshit. And there's so much with the laundry and the money and who's doing what work and how they're doing. It's just such fucking nonsense. So anyways, I would think this is drawing attention. But it's just like so weird how so many of these people are all good with crime being committed against us. Because, we got to get this done. We need this. We need that. Jesus fucking Christ. Especially in Florida. I think half the houses are empty. Fucking house the kids in empty houses, for God's sakes. Like, you think outside the box, for God's fucking shit. So, it's like, I swear to God, I can't wait till whatever's gonna go down. Oh, God. Is that, like, people are okay with immoral behavior. It's like, we want to raise the bar in this world, not just accept abuse. And so, this thing keeps, woodpecker, okay. Let me see. That, I'll still snore her head off. Okay, so there's always some distraction. And I still am getting just things just knocked out of my hand and stuff. I know we're being harassed by these entities that try and frustrate us. Let me think. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this lady was saying these numbers came out on the... let's see, what could we call that? The gender re-identification surgeries. And how, so between 2019 and 2023, I think it is, that in this number thing, it said there was like 5,937 or something underage kids that they did that on. And then, which is a crime. Like, I mean, are you fucking kidding me? How you're allowing kids to make decisions that are going to affect them for the rest of their lives? I mean, I know the agenda behind it, but what is up with these dogs? Like, if they're for the CHEMO getting a kickback of 5 to 8K, then what is the kickback on this? Because what is the drive? What is the drive for these doctors to be like, pushing this bullshit. But that's why, Donald even said, like, I've seen doctors coming out and saying these people need to meet charges. Like, this isn't right. I mean, it's so weird. I mean, kids deciding that this is what, and they're doing permanent surgeries on these people. Well, they're having to go back and redo them. So out of those numbers, then the lady was saying, I can't remember the amount of penis whacking's been going on. It was a lot. It wasn't all the people. So some of the surgeries must be upper, not as much lower, but it was a lot lower. And still for the girls, the upper, that is, I mean, they're doing mastectomies on the kids, man. And then putting fake ones on boys, well, that's easy to take out. But the mastectomy on the girl, that's just, I don't know. I mean, that seems just as rotten as what they're doing to these boys' penises and stuff. But the girls, I mean, that makes them not ever be able to nurse a child or just natural stuff. I don't know. I think it's dramatic, even though it doesn't make them less of a woman, because then you'd have to say all these women get mastectomies are no longer women, and that's not true. So it's just a shame what they're doing to the kids. They're just redefining, it's just like this opening, this expansion of information of, well, how do you even look at this? How do you, there's so many different things. It's a personal observation. So but out of those numbers, out of the almost 6,000 kids, that 3,000 of them want to turn it around. And it's 2025. Which, I get it, man. When I got my, implants done, within months, I was back there asking how much to get them out. It might have been weeks. Might have been the first 6 weeks. I was back there asking how much to get them out. And it was double the price. The fuckery. So, anyways, and I kind of, just take them out. I don't want these. Like, besides the fact you put them in, like, 5 times the size that I wanted. So, anyways, okay, let me get back on whatever I'm talking about. So, and still is snoring so loud. And there's always people like, I can't hear you. I'm trying to talk as loud as I can and be up close to the thing. The other day, somebody said they couldn't hear me. And I went and listened to the video and it was loud. I could hear it. So sometimes it might be your things. They are definitely messing with my account. I got this thing that sent me this. It was a tube. What do they call it? Tube something. Hell, I don't know. So to boost your stuff on YouTube or whatever. But I didn't open their things and stuff. I don't even know if it's a scam or whatever it is. But also, when I went and looked on YouTube about some of the stuff, those places just give you fake followers and shit. Which, they already tipped my followers back. I don't know what their deal is with keeping it under 2,000. But for a long while, they tried to keep it under 1,000. And so they just tip it back. But the views, and I know they tip the views back too, because I've seen them, but on their monetization. So this thing is to help you monetize, because I should have been monetized, I don't know, a couple of years ago, but they hold back the views. So they have a parameter. You have to have 4,000 views a week to be monetized, but they manipulate my account. So see, they are, I don't know, essentially to me committing a crime. If you ask me. It's kind of like stealing from me or something. So but my views, because you only have to have like 125,000 to get monetized. And I'm way past, like, you have to have 1,000 followers, which they held me back for that for a long time. And so 1,000 followers, which is double the amount of that, even though they keep it right under 2,000. They won't let it go over. They let it go over for a day or two, and then right away it was back under, and it stayed under ever since. And no, nobody ever followed, like in months and months. Even though that you get more and more views on videos, but nobody followed. Yeah, yeah, because they mess with it all the time. And so, and even if there's a new follower, they just brush off an old one or something. I don't know what all they do, but it's corrupt. But my overall views is like 312,000 or something, and it's way over. So, but where they keep they keep keep holding it back is each week that they say, well, you got 4,000 views. Well, they won't let me. So, anyways, but whatever with their manipulation, I know it's all gonna shift. So everything's gonna shift. However, it's gonna play out, I don't know. We'll see. You know, could be class action lawsuits against you. I have no idea. We just got to see how it plays out. I just know, I mean, I'm witnessing them, seeing them commit a crime against me. So, anyways, but this thing, this YouTube boost, or no, they didn't, it was Tube, the Tube boost, or some shit. And, but I don't know. All this stuff is bullshit. The universe has got it. Like, what's supposed to happen happens. And so, whatever. But that doesn't mean you ignore all the things that come to you. You have to evaluate what you think. And on this thing, to me, that is the universe. I'm not going to pay somebody to go in and try and maneuver through whatever they're doing to my account, and then give me fake followers or whatever. But mine is all on views, so it doesn't even have to do with the followers. So it has to do with the views, and they don't let it go. So I'm not doing that. So because I know whatever's meant to be is meant to be. So how it's meant to be is what it will be. And that to me is kind of like a desperation, like, oh, well, got to do this. That's like the little things that come at you sometimes. And you got to decide, is this me becoming desperate? Is this me trusting? Is this me taking the next step? You got to decipher that in the game. That's part of the game. That's why it's like a whole nother, it's a whole nother level than what people think. There's what you're trying to master isn't what people are focused on. And so, but that's where you got to connect through your spirit in the game, and not through your eyes and ego, I guess, is what I would say otherwise. And that's where they have so many people connected through that. But it's such a misinterpretation of reality. And but this is where the awakening, the remembering all of a sudden, who you are and what you're doing here and everything. And it's got to be coming again. And I don't know, I hear these people call the thing the red kachina, the wormwood, Nibiru. So I don't know, maybe it's a whole nother one. Maybe, it's just the Anunnaki ship. I don't know. But there's all sorts of footage in different places. So sometimes people see it when the sun's coming up. It'll look like two suns. Like you can have the fake sun coming up, or whatever's going on with the sun simulator, or whatever the hell. So you can have that coming up, but you can see the planet when it does. And so you have that view, but it depends on where you're at, because then there's another one where people are getting it. So the sun's way over here and the planet's way over here. And so some people are getting that view, and they're showing like, what's this? And it looks like a big red sun, but then they turn and go, because the sun's over here. So some people are getting it where it's like that. And then this footage I just saw yesterday, it was freaking huge. Huge. And it was like, looks like it's just coming right at you. and huge too. So I don't know. I don't know. It seems like that, they would start talking about it more and telling us. It's gonna probably just be like, oh my God, we're about to be hit by a planet. I don't know. This movie, no, it was what was it? I had some old movie that was going yesterday, and then right after it started this other one, but it was the show. Oh yeah, the movie I watched the other day, it was creepy. It was those guys that I like on Newcastle After Dark. I like I like their show. But this movie called Godsend from 1980, and real creepy. This girl shows up to have a baby. She's real creepy, like Children of the Corn kind of lady. And so she goes around going in. It was like you could tell, like this demon lady coming in. She has a baby there, then she leaves and disappears. Well, then the mom, who has all these kids, she takes over taking care of the baby. Well, then the little demon baby comes out and starts killing the family, kills all the other lady's kids, and then this lady just keeps doing it, doing it, doing it. So, anyways, it's really creepy. Um, and then the what was I gonna say about that? Oh yeah, so after that, this Outer Limits started, and it was the men in charge, or the men something, and I didn't see it all. I did see that they had some little creature in a black box, which I know that they have been putting out there and putting out there about. Oh yeah, because this movie started too. I didn't watch it, called Transcendence. And it had Johnny Depp, and from the first part I was seeing it because there's Morgan Freeman was one scientist, and then his lab got blown up or something, and Johnny Depp is another scientist, I think. And so hold on, yeah, my throat is still so. And one of them has to do with AI, I think, and one has to do. It seemed like to me that they were going to put Johnny Depp inside a machine, that this was going to go. Like they were going to put his consciousness, because he was going to die otherwise. So they're going to put him in a machine. That's what it seems like is going to happen. So, and they know they've been showing us in the movies for a long time, just like what I keep saying. They know how to take our consciousness and put it in. Because it was another thing I was watching the other day, and they said something about that too, about taking, figuring out how to remove consciousness and put it into a different body or whatever. I know they've been doing this a long time. And so and it's starting out with this Outer Limits show. And so that show was when I was a kid, it was on. And it's black and white and stuff. It's like when Twilight Zone was really popular, there was some other things that came out. Outer Limits, Night Gallery. I've seen even some other ones. Like I didn't even remember some of these that I've seen. I used to watch Outer Limits, Night Gallery, and Twilight Zone though. But there's other ones like this one, Fear something. Like some of them I have not seen, but it's all kind of like the same kind of little weird stories, like Black Mirror or something. And so so this one, it starts out where the men, the council that sits around deciding for humans. So they are sitting around their table, these corporate overlords or whatever the fuck these Rockefeller, Rothschild motherfuckers are, the BAMP people. But not all the people around the table are. Some of them is like the henchmen of these people. Those people don't necessarily sit at these things. It's who's there to represent them. So their interest. And so which to me is kind of the war machine. And so these men sitting around this table, they're the ones that, whatever it's called, the fear people, whatever, they create our life, they create our reality. I can't remember what they call them for this show. So and however it starts, they've got this guy in a box, and if he's some kind of alien, he's some kind of entity, something that they're saying it. So they've got him trapped in this black box, and they're sitting at this table and talking about us, the humans, that we are. The only way to bring us together is to create a common fear. So they've got to create something. Otherwise, we just keep fighting and killing each other. Well, you created that too, you dumbass bitches. But they do all this shit on purpose. But so now, in order to get us to come together, it has to be some huge drama, just like after September 11, and everybody came together, but they came together in hate and fear and division. And then, but so they are talking about in this show making a fake alien invasion, and that they're going to use somebody to make this alien come or something. I didn't watch the whole thing, but it's like been telling us this stuff in the shows for so long, and it's just been in our face for so long, and it's just weird, kind of how we don't even like, to me there were so many things that as soon as I would see it, I would say, this is true. I used to do it all the time. This is true. This right here is true. And people would be like, oh my God, that's a movie. And I'd be like, I'm telling you, this is really happening. This is true. And another movie too, besides Free Guy, Truman Show, Cabin in the Woods, and I don't know if I had already said that one, but Cabin in the Woods also shows the interference or the control behind the scenes over our reality. And so that's real. We are being controlled by this upper tier, and but this is why we have to see. But it's like we have to see for ourselves. We have to feel it. We have to feel like this doesn't feel good, and that to me is this like awakening thing, of knowing you deserve better. You don't deserve to be abused. But in this, by all observation, it seems, they have people so trapped in this like artificial, like where people don't care. Like they'd rather have the place built. Like who cares if he's committing a crime? Just build the housing. Like how? Like see how they get you just to accept the fucking bullshit, man? And God, there's so much nonsense. But anyways, the there was another thing too. It seemed. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Okay, because there's a thing about Alex Jones now, and I don't know. Like I just hear snippets of some of the stuff, but when I hear it, my take on it. So when I heard that they're saying Alex Jones is really an agent of the three letters that starts with a C and ends with an A, that he's from that organization, and it was a psyop that was started, and he's got a different name, and now people are even saying that's not even the real guy, that one they're putting out right now, and so which is very interesting, really, when you think about that, because Donald used to call on to that show and stuff like that, but maybe it was to bring attention to it. But anyways, my take on it makes sense if he was, because they had to control our information. So of course, the conspiracy, they're gonna have a controlled conspiracy. They're gonna have whoever, because that was a part even with the movies, that they because that same organization had an office, like scripts and stuff had to go through these people, and they control the information of how they want us to look at it, and they push, like in the movies, like the feds, you better be good to them, and they have an agenda that they push. They're such good guys, man. What would we do without them? Shit like that. All that stuff, just when you watch and you see like they're trying to get us to just let them do what they want to do, and we just respect them and whatever. But but they controlled the information and what we were to find out and stuff. So it totally made sense to me, you know, if he is from there, and he could have at some point went rogue. You know, maybe he wasn't supposed to tell about, you know, what goes on at the Grove or whatever, and that he, you know, he went out. But then that could have been a whole setup too. And maybe it was already in the part where they were starting to try and wake us up. So they had to start introducing us to some nasty truths, you know, because in the, I don't know, in the galactic conversation of the awakening, supposedly that there was different periods of time of genocide throughout our history, or different periods of time of trying to get us to wake up, you know, to feel for other people, and empathy, compassion, and the the empathy and the compassion for the slaughter, which right now the dog slaughter is so fucking over the top, and people need to feel the empathy and compassion for that. We don't have any right to be killing this mass murder, you know, a homeless pet that, I just can't even believe it, man. Puppies, moms with puppies, it's just, it's disgusting. The whole, every system, every branch that has been created through this time has all been corrupted. Like, everything has to fall apart. It's so corrupted. It's so gross out there. So it has to, and um, and there's still so much horrible things going on, horrible crimes. Like this one, this one with the three little girls. I mean, I'm not saying that for sure it's not real or something. I would say it probably is real, but that every time I say that, it weirds me out when I'm talking about what's real and what's not real, and you say that word, and it just happens to be a place. Like, there's weird shit about that. Which I just saw this rabbi or something. No, he looked Middle Eastern, like he had a turban on and stuff, and he was speaking, and it had a translation going. And so then that's also, you know, I mean, I don't speak it in Arabic, so I don't know um, what the real translation is, but the translation that was being said was about a ritual that's done with the liquid that comes from inside of us, and it's a pastry, and they do it all the fucking time, and they use little kids for it, and so, oh, it was like disturbing as fuck, man. And that word that you know, about what is or isn't real was it had to do with the blues. It's, oh gosh, I don't, this place is so weird. It's just gonna be more and more weird shit. We're just gonna keep hearing and stuff like that. But, you know, Rabbi Finkelstein or whatever, he came right out and told, anyways, like, he's on audio with his thing about what they do and stuff. And then we got, you know, tons of footage of fucking rabbis sucking newborns' blood out of their freshly mutilated baby penis. So, God, this blood is so weird. Yeah. Oh God, just think of that. That blood, that red stuff is being kind of a drug to these people. Like, they go and they suck it out there with the baby screaming adrenaline, and then they're just like, woo, you know, party time. The rabbi's 250 years old. Doesn't look a day over 50. So, anyways, fucking all weirdo people. So let's see. So we got, let me see. What else was I gonna say? Donald with the, was it with the money? Did I already say what it was? uh, one thing is, like, he's a catalyst, and there's still these people. I just, I supported him. I chose him, but I don't like what's going on right now and stuff. A lot of the stuff going on is to get you to. He's not here to save us. He's not here to be the perfect. He's not here. He's here to wake us up. He's here to be the catalyst, and he's here to, like, legally create a new reality. And so with money and business and stuff like that, to put us in a position where we can start having momentum, where we can gain, where we can have things again. One thing too, because it used to be where, your land, because this has been on my mind too with, well, with all the things going on and what they're doing and stuff, but that, since they started doing all that stuff about the land and family land and how it used to be that families had land and that was your land, like it just went from generation to generation to generation, and how they started interfering with that and how everybody had their family plot on their land, and that they couldn't take people's land, and like there's a whole bunch of stuff about that, but then they made new rules and pulled people from burying people on their own land, even made it illegal, and all their nonsense that has been done. And so the the families, always had this land thing. Well, I know then, there was tons that were farmers, like people were farmers, because there was a lot of farmers who left, which there's interesting things as all this stuff is unfolding with my family's stuff coming out. There's so much stuff out there, and my mom's been looking through it. So, but the naturalization papers, so it wasn't the Mayflower. I don't know when the Mayflower was, because I was thinking they had to come over on the ship from Scotland. I thought, I don't know which ships all were going to get the people here. And maybe they just rode on horses because they've been lying to us about the land and shit. But anyways, so the on mine, the I was told my grandpa was Scottish going back. And so, and my mom was always saying that there was Dutch and all this stuff. So I don't know. I don't know all this stuff. But so now the naturalization papers are saying came from Germany, and they were here, and they got their their citizenship in 1912, I think. But they had been here 5 years. You had to be here 5 years continuously, and then you could say, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to be an American citizen. And so you get this piece of paper and it has all your family and everybody. And so a lot of the people who came over were from farms and stuff, and they got land. And but my mom said that ours came from Denmark, maybe through Germany, because there has not been links to us being German. And so, anyways, it's just weird when you start. It's weird. It's like this. I don't know. There's just weird stuff, like about your history and everything, But then then she found the part where it went from Patterson to Moore, because that's the Scottish part. So I don't know. When my one sister comes over to look at all the stuff, she had been doing our ancestry. My brother was writing a book, but with all ours, because he had done so much to it. But now, he said that now, he can't finish it. Well, hopefully he's going to get better. Hopefully they're going to try some of this stuff that I've said. But she hasn't said anything to me since I sent the thing about the plaque. But I know that they're busy right now because their kids are moving in. One of the sons with his 3 kids and his girlfriend, and and so this is what I was going to is about the land thing. And so people would come over and they would have their land, but and then it would just stay in families. And then a lot of people were in the Appalachian Mountains when they first came, because it was closest to the landing. So a lot of people didn't leave the mountain range and go out further. And so at some point, the controllers started taking their land away from them through the floods and stuff. Like, they've been doing this for a long time. And So people would, they would be owning, if you want to call it owning, but it was kind of like their land was considered like huge parts of the mountains and stuff. Well, then the government was like, no, we want to make money off of this. We want their resources. So they would take it from them in different ways, but a lot of it's been through weather situations. And so and then plus, later on, much later, like, because it was more when I was alive, they did things. It seems like they got people in over their head with to make life easier with farm machinery or something, and then the farmers went in debt to have that, but it was all like a land grab, because then a bunch of farmers were going bankrupt. It was a whole thing. And so they wanted to take the land because they want to be in control of everything, be in control of our food, the land, everything. And so but my sister-in-law was telling me that my nephew's moving in with all his family and stuff this week, um, because when she was looking up about what to do about the house, she said you can't will it to somebody unless it's paid off. So you can't say, well, I'm putting it in my will that it's your house now. No, it has to be, you can only put a house in your will that is 100% paid off. And so it's like you're willing somebody else's stuff then. So, uh, so then she was trying to figure out like different things to do. So what they're trying to do is sell the house to him so that he can be there. And then, because they don't know what's gonna happen. She kept thinking, well, it was growing so slow, but see, now it's accelerated. That's what I was saying. It seems that they added an accelerant at some point. And so, because all these different peoples start growing, which I just saw a girl who was talking about the different antibiotics. And if you've been on them just one time, which we've all been on them so many times for years, they gave it for every little fucking cough, that just one time destroys almost your entire fucking gut health, your gut, the biome, the microbiome that's healthy. And so, and it takes a long time to build it back up. So that's why we got so many. And then once your gut biome is fucked, that it ripples out into your hormones, all throughout your health. So it just fucks everything up when your gut's not running right. And just being on those one time just fucks you. So, anyways, focusing on your gut health is super, super important. And so, anyways, okay, so, but the house thing, so they just, because I was thinking about this is how they keep it where we can't ever get, it is, we can't get ahead like that. Like your parents buy houses and then it doesn't just go to the next family, and then they get them locked into getting loans and stuff. And like this one person that's over on the lake, they fucking got him to do that backward thing. He's got this fucking $1 million house on the lake, and they got him to do that backward thing. And he's, sick. Like, there's so many people who are sickly are just like, well, I'm gonna die. And then his daughter is gonna have nowhere to go, and she's living with him, and it's just like it's just gonna be gone. And that's what I'm saying. It should just keep it, what we pay for, what we have lived and taken care of should stay with our family. But see, they disrupted that. And it used to be that we had all, the farmland and stuff, and it would stay in the family. It was yours. And they interfered with that. And then they got people to sell land off. Then they make all these legal jargon, all these legal parameters to keep us from being able to. But I mean, what makes sense? What makes sense? I mean, what makes sense is that this guy has made this place, and it should go to his family. And but get him in this fucking backward thing. And when my mom told me that, and I was like, oh my god, they got him in that backward mortgage or whatever the fuck it's called. And I was like, oh my God, those are so fucked. Those people get so fucked. And she's like, I almost did it. I almost signed. And then I just heard, like, don't do it. And I was like, yeah, don't do that. It's like it to just keep taking shit from us. It doesn't go to the families. And then you got all these kids, well, I'll never be able to own this. It's like, but they've done this. They've set this up. It used to not be so hard. Even when people were leaving the farm and going to the city to go for jobs and buy their own houses, houses were like $6,000. You could still get another house. And, but there was just so much fuckery and greed that has gone on to get us into this position where we are contained and controlled slowly with like nothing, and the frustration, and people are losing. I just saw this grown ass man. He was just crying. He's so frustrated. He's so done. He wants people to all start standing up. This doesn't make sense what we're doing and stuff. So many people. It just keeps going and going and going. There's no stopping it because the energy's going. And it's going to be hitting and hitting and hitting. And right now there's a bunch of tons of big solar flares. Like today there's supposed to be a really bad solar energetic storm or something, where they're saying if you don't have melanin, you need to stay indoors. It's going to be way too intense. And then on an energetic level, that's going to bring up so much more out of people, because everything is to bring out your stuff, to bring it to the surface. And people want to keep it hidden. They don't want to deal with it. They didn't want to deal with it 10 years ago. They sure the fuck don't want to deal with it now. And the universe, though, is going to keep bringing the light in, because it's going to keep bringing it to the surface. So you have to deal with it, because you don't realize what's good for you. You don't realize the best thing for you. And the best thing for you is to let it go, to process your experiences, and to be able to release them. And so people just, fight against it because, I don't know, there's so much about so many things that are just so misleading. Like you go to hell, and yeah, it makes you not a good person if you've ever done anything wrong. And just, I don't know, there's just so much shit. So that's why there's so much about, you got to accept yourself. That's why I say, you got to accept yourself through that. Learning to love yourself is accepting yourself for your good and your bad, and being okay with yourself. And being okay with yourself is the ripple that goes out through everybody else. It's not. I just saw this video where this guy said, if you can go around people who are ridiculing you or putting you down, and it doesn't affect you, like how impressive. Like that's where we all got to get to, that point of like, yeah, I don't care, you can think whatever you want of me, that doesn't matter, that's you. And not think that that has to do with us. But see, everybody goes into that trap of like, well, they don't think I'm good enough, so therefore I'm not good enough. They don't think I'm pretty enough, so therefore I'm not pretty enough. They don't think, always thinking you are something through their eyes. But you really got to start looking through your eyes. And when you start looking through your eyes, there's so much more acceptance of yourself, of seeing like your weird parts of yourself. It's like, that's what makes me me. All the times when people were telling me I was too much or not enough or do this different, do that different, that was their projection, of what they want for themselves. But I don't want to be another one of them. I don't want to be generic. And I don't want to be in a state of confusion, trying to be a little bit of them, a little bit of them, a little bit of them. No, I just want to be me. And to learn how to be accepting of all the things that make me unique or different. And to be okay with that, to be proud of myself, to acknowledge the hard work I've done on myself by going through so many different things, and being able to pick myself back up, not be beat down, because there is so many people who do just get so beat down by all the things that go on in life. And so but see, this is our whole evolution, and it's not just each individual, it's like we are pushing through an energy that kick back. So it is it's powerful to push through because it goes back. It's like the wake goes back and hits into the other people, which pushes them and motivates them to push through. That's why they wanted to keep people asleep, which I was talking to my one daughter, the one that was in the GATE program, and because I was talking about some pretty crazy stuff while I was there, and people were listening to the stuff I was saying and stuff, and nobody was laughing and telling me I was crazy and stuff. People, there was like a lot of, oh yeah. So, anyways, and I tried to talk to my daughter before about the GATE program, but when we were on the drive going to my uncle's, I think we were talking about it, and so I had told her too. I said, whatever they were doing, they were trying to find certain kids. And I know for me, I think what they were after is the telepathy thing. But I was already talking to them. Nobody had to, I could just hear them, whatever. And that's what I think my guides were trying to keep me from getting sucked in, like Corey Good or whatever. Like they take you in and they use you. And that's why I think I was kept, because I was supposed to come in and talk about it now, not back then, and help them. And so, but it seems like to me there was a wave of kid. You know how Dolores Cannon said there was first wave, second wave, third wave, and so there was a wave of kids that came in to really create a change, and so they wanted to figure out which kids those were. And so they were looking for something that made them different. And so they did all this testing and they looked for different ways that people were thinking. And these kids that were able to think outside of the box or were more self motivated, there was something about them that they wanted to stop it. They didn't want it to ripple out into the people. So they took them into this program, and then they focused them, like on my daughters, they were focused on making robots. And then they had a big thing of the robots coming out to fight each other or something. I don't remember, because it was all secret. It was all on the down low. Like, we weren't allowed to go as parents. No, they were kept over here in this other place. They were taken from the school to this other place. And I said, yeah, but did they ever have you drink anything? And she's like, I can't remember anything. She can't remember anything about being in it, nothing. And but that is what some of the kids were saying, that they had them drink something to forget. Corey Good said that they would do these brain wiping. So whatever they did something. But in my daughter, the one that got taken in it, the thing that made her different or unusual was that ever since she was young, she was always trying to push people to go to counseling, go fix themselves, go heal their emotions, to deal with family trauma, to all that stuff. Ever since she was little, she was pushing on that. And so they don't want us to heal. They don't want us to be introspective. They don't want us to do better. And so there was lots of kids that came in with this gift of, of, uh, of a direction. And I think that they have done everything they could to try and keep the kids from remembering or something. But we're in the time of remembering, so they're going to come back to themselves. I think, I'm curious to see how this starts playing out with my daughter more, because she still is resistant to the whole spiritual thing, which I think that they did that too. Because they probably were fucking in there hypnotizing them and shit. And then they put them into positions and things, because like she came out the gate at college like right ass into a good job, even though she was always working hard. She was always able to move up in jobs, always. They did. I just know there's something that they did in that program was shenanigans. And I feel certain it was like there were other kids like her. They were there to help promote healing and taking responsibility for yourself and all that stuff. And they didn't want that to ripple out, because they want this victim, beat down, depressed, sad, go get plastic surgery to fix yourself society. Give up on that and just get put in a synthetic, You know, they just have gotten such chaos right now too. They've created such a mind fuck of a world. There's so much crazy weird shit going on. But, you know, this is the tailspin of everything going apart. And and I know there's going to be, you know, other realities are going to be starting. But you know, I don't know how, you know, what's going to go on. There's all these people who keep on being like 2027. Everything's going to change in 2027. And the only thing I've heard that would be the basis of that is them saying about the astrology. But fuck, they were saying that about 2024 and 20. Like we've been hearing this and hearing this and hearing this, and so you know, I don't know. To me, the signs that would be the red planet being so close. The and if they are going to do this Project Blue Beam thing, if they do start having warring out in the skies and all that shit, don't believe it. Like it would be our uh, the black ops, you know, the dark forces that would be coming and doing it. Wouldn't it be like the good, you know, the high spiritual beings are coming and, you know, that's not what they'd rather just sit back and watch. They're not going to come in and fight. That's the dark, that's the low vibration. But they also, in this thing what Donald's a part of is the splitting it off from the war machine and taking us out of corporate law and putting it out of the maritime, out of all that bullshit, and putting us back into our God-given rights. And we're born free to, you know, we shouldn't be having to pay for things here. I mean, some things, like if you want to go buy stuff or whatever, like, you know, when we want to go buy clothes, and we won't be buying them, I say, from slaves anymore. We'll be buying them from specialized people. And so you would pay because you would be paying this person for their specialized work, you know, or barter trade or however. But there's going to be changes about that kind of stuff. And so there'll be things that you would pay for, but it just for being able to live, like charging us for water when there's water everywhere. Getting us on their fucking sewage system, and then even doing the corrupt shit of taking our water and then reusing it. It's disgusting. Flush it, go through the machine, come back out, and drink it again. It's like, this is so disgusting. I can't even fucking believe it. And then the pollution of the air. Yesterday when I was sitting outside trying to get some sun rays, which today, who knows, maybe it's going to melt me. I don't know. I'll try. I'll give it a try. See if I got enough melanin that I've created in my skin to be able to handle the sun rays or whatever. But to me, anyways, the signs are around us that stuff is going. Oh, but also when I was sitting out there in all of the atmosphere that's out there coming down on us, the whatever they've put up there, then that's where I started thinking, you know, I come in and then I get this inflammation or whatever, something is triggered and everything starts hurting. So whatever I'm breathing out there or absorbing into me, it's rough. And I don't think it's like the sun, but the sun could be absorbing the other chemicals because of the heat activation or something. Who fucking knows? Like, I swear to God, there's so much shenanigans. It all has to do with our health because they want to make us sick. And I'm not playing their games. I'll fucking die. I'm not coming to you guys. I'm not paying you shit. Like, I'm fucking so over their fucking bullshit and their lies. And then these fucking weirdo people who obviously can't add. And they are going to be making decisions over my health. I don't think so. I'll stick with taking vitamins and taking care of myself. Everything, like your life changes when you choose a healthy lifestyle, when you start taking care of yourself, when you start thinking, you know, how to best maintain your vehicle, your avatar, how to make it the best it can be. And they are, you know, I mean, they're cutting the dicks off kids, you know what I'm saying? Like, And I know there's good ones and bad ones. Like I'm not saying every fucking doctor is a bad one. Every fucking cop's a bad one. Every fucking everything comes in all shapes and sizes. But here we are heavy in a certain darkness, and it's coming up to the surface. A lot of the ones that were not of the dark already started leaving because it didn't align with them. The ones that are still in alignment with it are a lot of darkness, a lot of dark energy. And so, that this is the splitting off from it. And so you gotta like kind of stand up and say, nope, I'm different than that. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not playing along with this. And, but everybody's on their own thing. And there's definitely, apparently, there's people, who are deeply spiritual out there leading the world on their spiritual journey or something that are getting sick. And I don't know, there's a lot of choices that people are making that I think if you were really living a certain way, you would make different choices. So it's like it's still very trapped in the three-dimensional concepts of life and life and life and liberty. But I would say when you're moving through your healing is start going more into mind over matter. And but that still is what trips me out, is like, it can still be affected, your avatar and stuff from the poisons and all the things going on here and stuff, just by the movement of all the energies, the merging of all these realities and stuff. And so it can affect you physically. But to me, our sense of self is going into the mind over matter. Don't get all caught up in this flesh and blood situation, and start seeing it as an energy and as a representation, however you want to perceive it. You want to perceive yourself like a machine, you want to perceive yourself like a plant, you want to perceive yourself like however it is, get a perception of self and how to make yourself grow its best and be at its healthiest, its optimum, and live that lifestyle of taking care of yourself. And you're gonna do better. You're not I don't get sick. I mean, some people would be like, well, if I had allergies for as long as you, I would have gone to the doctor. But um but everything works out because, yeah, whatever with that stuff, it cleared that stuff out of my lungs. And besides the fact, I don't trust them that they can figure out what's really wrong with you anyways. They're just guessing. And they're never looking at the right thing, especially these ones that are out there right now. They won't even look at life or reality in a realistic way. It's just so, there's so much of this 3D trap that people are in. But that's why, I can't wait for this blast of awakening, whatever's going to go. And I don't know. I mean, it could be this dramatic thing in the sky with the planet. Can be something is going to happen to get people to see differently, to get people to see this other side of things. And that when they see the other side, that's going to be the awakening. That's going to be the, seeing themselves naked in front of everybody or something, feeling very exposed. That's going to start this huge healing process. But it's also, anything when you go through the process, it goes through anger and denial and all that stuff. So it's still going to be chaotic because people are going to be going through serious stuff when they're awakening. So the awakening is going to be great. You're going to be that people are going to understand things on a deeper level. Conversations will be a lot more, what is that word? A lot more productive. We'll have a lot less probably of arguing and, people seeing things very different. We'll finally be on like a common where we'll all see it. But there's going to be a lot of people who didn't see things that are going to start seeing things. So there's going to be a lot of chaotic vision going on, because there are going to be a lot of people like, man, wait a minute, I didn't know. But a lot of people are going to see this kind of mean side of themselves, this bitter, hateful, kind of mean side of themselves. So that is also, and that's going to hurt. It's going to hurt their souls. So it's going to be a lot of emotional healing, a lot of stuff is going to be going on once this event happens. And still, we have more still, because I still don't think that the rapture thing is the event, the splitting of the two realities. It's the when the thing happens and people start healing or going in their direction, or maybe some people will be super resistant or whatever. That to me would be the splitting off of the realities. And maybe as we're leading into it, we're splitting into realities, because some of us are going towards like, fuck, everything's great, man. Life's great. Things are going good. We got fucking freedom. Cities are starting to get going. So, seeing things as good, and then the other people seeing them as bad. So some people are going towards heaven and some people are going towards hell. But there's going to be things waking these people up to see like that they're looking at things wrong. They're not seeing the truth. And then they'll start seeing like who's misinforming them, who's leading them in the wrong direction. And then they'll start seeing, oh, well, I'm following along. Well, what's got me following along with this business? Why am I listening to these ones and these ones are listening to these ones? And that's where you got to start realizing your biases that keep you listening to who you listen to, and the following projection of, following along with somebody else's perspective. And so these people are all like just in this trap of looking at things in the wrong way. But I mean, a lot of us who already woke up to that part, we saw how the media had misled us and had controlled us and stuff. But then you have to look at what it is in me that is hung on to that. What is me that was the hook? How do they hook me? And so that's the parts of yourself you got to go in and heal. And that's why, to me, is the biases. It's what's created your biases, why you think this is right and this is wrong. And that's why, you got to get out of the black and white thinking and find, the versatility of perspective in there, and so anyways, but, stuff I say all the time, this is the expansion of the human conscious state of existence. And it's, it's expansion. And so we're just at this part where it's just, we're like in the breakdown, everything is breaking down. Everything is breaking down. And a lot of the things too on Elon, to me, is another thing that I had noticed was, it seems that, he was like the guru for the left for a long while. They thought he would, was the greatest thing. And then they aligned him with the other guy, I think. And once they aligned him with the other guy, then these people started turning on him. But so then it made sense when they made like, oh, well, now he has to turn on the other guy so that he can become the peer of these other ones. And they can say, oh, well, these ones are blowing up all his cars and stuff like that. But he has to become, but that also, see, then it's like, well, do you have empathy or compassion towards that? Because things are supposed to be promoting empathy and compassion. But see, then once they get him back to being a peer to these ones, then these ones can follow that trail where, and everything is to take people to wake them up. But anyways, to me, it was like they take them and like all of the stuff that he was doing, exposing stuff, but their media was telling them something else was going on, so they were turning on him or something. So now it's like a backpedaling, and then to get them to see. So because it's like your peers are who wake you up, your peer groups and stuff. Like, just think about, like, I've noticed with people, you can tell them and tell them and tell them things, and they're just completely resistant. But then their friend at work told them, and all of a sudden it's like, see this, and it's like, so they need this peer. It can't be like somebody telling them, you know. So anyways, I think that's kind of also going on. But there's a lot. There's a lot. It's all about this catalyst to the waking people up, getting people to think for themselves, having compassion, having empathy, having morals, and seeing the purpose to life, and the wanting more for themselves. It all goes together with this whole awakening to shift us into this new realm of existence, and shifting gears on us into going in the direction that we want to go, instead of just being used like we've been used. So anyways, I think you get what I'm saying. Hopefully I was more not skipping around so much. I don't know. I'm definitely gonna go back to sleep at some point. But that's the beautiful thing too, when you don't work. You sleep when you want to sleep, get up when you want to get up, and you don't have to lay in there and get frustrated because you got to be at work by 8. So even when you can't sleep, well, you got to lay there tossing and turning all night. No, you can just get up and do something different. And then when you feel like I did the stuff, I'm trying to do that'll be the next thing I'll try. So far, the bentonite clay hasn't done much yet, but it's still got to pull the toxins and then get rid of them. But then the next thing I'll try is a patch. So, I'll try some different things and stuff. But anyways, that's the cool thing when you have charge of your own life, that you don't have to freak out over this stuff. Because I know, people are getting fucked right now, like all the energy, and then they got to get up and go to work. But that's why all of that is falling apart, because we're not meant to live like that. We're not meant to be their slaves. We're meant to stand up and start going towards ourselves. So anyways, look at the hair thing, the tooth, and it is it's so tender. And I was thinking, I think the reason it's so tender is because there's so much new tissue built on new tissue built on new tissue, because it was so broken. I don't think there's a infection or whatever, but the weird thing is all of our teeth work that we've had done ever since we were kids. Now, the truth has come out on that we all have tons of infections, just as low riding infections around that stuff. So even if there is an infection in there, I got to still do all the things to make my body fight against it. And that's not going down and getting on those things that are going to kill my gut health. It's doing more things like the black seed oil, the things that are natural, that go in and naturally remove the stuff that we don't want, and promote our body to build more of the things we do want. So anyways, but it is very tender, and I'm definitely still having to chew on. It's like it gets kind of rough. And the one side that I can chew on is also the side where the fucking guy fucked up these teeth. And so there's no teeth right here, because then once he had broken these teeth, then their solution was they were going to pay for me to have implants. I wish I would have been more of a stand up for myself and stuff. I wish I would have known that the implants were going to fail and stuff, because, at the time I think, well, I'm getting a benefit. I just had to go in and got a benefit to it. But man, now, and I had to sign some paper and stuff, but I didn't realize about that dental malpractice and what was going on. And so anyways, but after the implants had failed, so now it's just a gap right here. So I'm trying to chew on this side is missing some teeth, and then this side now, it's got the more teeth on it, but this broken one. So it's like, fuck, man, it is hard to chew because this is really tender. So, but, if I have to go on a liquid diet, go on a fasting thing. I swear to God, I just feel like we're not meant to eat near as much as what we think we are meant to eat. And because what the health benefits of these people who are fasting, Like, right there where they tell us, like we're going to starve to death, and you got people out there proving that's wrong, and they're healing themselves, healing the big C or the big P. They're healing all sorts of disease inside of themselves with fasting. So anyways, I don't know, everything's lies. So maybe my tooth just keeps hurting because it's trying to push me more into getting onto the fasting train, but I still like to eat food. And but also you just gotta look at food as being different. Like, I swear to God, if you're having a lot of cravings for meat, I swear, start cooking food in cast iron. And I'm not saying cook meat in cast iron. There's a lot of people who think you can only cook meat in cast iron. You can cook soup. You can cook. I cook potatoes in cast iron all the time. So whatever it is, it absorbs the iron into the food, and then you eat the food, then the body processes the iron and it goes into where it's supposed to go. And so when you start getting high enough in iron, I think that you won't crave meat anymore. But anyways, meat's so programmed into people, and there's just so many things of, where we've been programmed and we accept certain lifestyles and certain, you know, ways of behaving, because killing animals for food, I don't know, I don't think it I think we're going to be doing things very different soon, is all I can say. That we're going to shift. I'm not going to tell people what they need to shift into, or they need to look at things the way I look at them. I just say, let's just watch and see what happens, what shifts humanity does take. Because I definitely see, as people are waking and shifting, that they all keep going in certain directions. So, and I think that we're headed in a certain direction. So we'll see. But I do believe for sure everything in this reality is about to fall apart. But there is somebody there to lead the way into the new way, because we are going to have a new way. And it's just curious to see, are they going to lead us into that, and that's going to create the falling apart, or is everything going to fall apart and that's going to be our life preserver? So everything is, to watch it play out. We came for this. This is why we're here. And while we're here, we need to be working on ourselves. So you can't go wrong by learning how to love yourself, because I'm telling you, the value behind learning how to love yourself is just priceless. And learning how to love everybody else, well, there's no way forward if you're just a bitter and hateful person and you like to see others suffer. Then, you won't be going into the reality I'm going into. But that doesn't mean, that you're in the wrong. Go to whatever reality you want to go to. They're all here to teach you, for you to become who you want to be. So anyways, learning how to love yourself, learning how to love everybody else, and how to have the day you want to have is the way to go, in my opinion. But we'll talk about it again tomorrow. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.